Hello everyone and welcome to a new video here on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be reviewing stamping and masks, and we'll be using the Butterfly Sentiment set from Brutus Monroe. So first and foremost, I'm going to grab our 140-pound Canson cold pressed watercolor paper. It is my favorite paper to use for these types of watercoloring projects, as well as a great basic paper or cardstock to use for the background of your cards. So first we're going to be using our paper trimmer here to cut out a 6 by 12 inch piece of paper, and that's going to be our card base. That will yield us a 6 by 6 inch card base, and then we're also going to cut out a 5-inch piece of paper here to use as our top layer that we're going to be doing all of our stamping and masking on. So now we have our two pieces of paper, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our piece of paper that you'll see here on the right hand side, which is going to become our card base, and we are going to grab our Martha Stewart scoreboard, and I'm going to go ahead and score that at the 6-inch mark. And by scoring it at the 6-inch mark, once we fold it in half, what we'll have is a 6 by 6 square card. And I know I love the square cards, and of course you can just put this in a larger size envelope and you won't have to pay any extra postage. So we're just going to go ahead and fold that down and make sure that that's all lined up perfectly. A little trick is you can put it in the corner of the scoreboard and just push it down with your scoring tool there. So now we're going to move on to our top layer, and this is the top layer of the card, and we're going to grab our Butterfly Sentiment set there. And to make my masks, I don't have any masking paper, so I'm going to use some post-it tape, and you'll see here that I'm just going to go ahead and take some pieces of the post-it tape and lay them down onto our craft mat, and I'll lay one on top of the other so we have a good masking surface, and we'll do that 4 times so that we have 4 masks, one for each one of the Butterfly Sentiment stamps. I'm going to take the brand new Brutus Monroe detail ink, and that's what I'm going to use to stamp these out. You could use any ink because this is just going to be a mask, but I just have the detail ink out for the rest of the project, so I figured why not use that. So we're going to stamp down our first butterfly here, and we're going to fast forward a little bit, and I've now stamped all 4 of them out, and I'm going to show you that we're going to take and pull up one of the butterflies here, and we're going to take our scissors. You use whichever scissors work best for you. I'm using just the Tim Holtz smaller scissor set here, and you're just going to cut all the way around your butterfly. You can cut a little bit within the line or on the line, but don't cut outside of the line. And you're just going to go all the way around your butterfly and or whatever you are using to mask, and this just essentially allows you to put the mask down on top of your already stamped image and layer different stamped images on top of each other. And you will see that in a moment here, how we're going to do that, and I'm not going to make you watch me cut out all of these masks. Don't worry, I'm going to fast forward through that just in a second here. So now we are cutting out all of our masks very quickly at a very fast speed, and I just dried that very quickly there as well. And we're just going to go ahead and cut all of these out, and we will be ready to use them on our project. So all of our masks are cut out and are on the side there, as you can see. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the detail black ink, our Raven ink, and we're just going to stamp our first butterfly down onto our over layer there, or our top layer. And once we have that stamped, I'm just going to take my heat tool and I'm going to heat set that very quickly, just because I want to make sure that it's completely heat set before, or completely dry, excuse me, before we put that mask on top. So all you're going to do is grab the butterfly that you cut out that matches that butterfly and place that on top, and then you're going to grab yourself another butterfly from the Butterfly Sentiment set. So peel the one off that we just used to stamp, and then put the new butterfly on there, and we're going to go ahead and stamp out this next one as well. Just make sure that you get your stamp good and inked up so that you are able to have a good impression on that next stamped, and that's just going to stamp right over top of the mask. Don't worry, you can reuse the mask no matter how many times it's stamped over. And you're going to go ahead and of course finish heat setting or letting that dry a little bit quicker. Of course, you can let these air dry, but it's just quicker to heat set it because you're moving on to that next masked layer. So just go ahead and heat set that, place your next mask on top, make sure that it's completely covering that butterfly. I adjusted it a little bit here to make sure it was covering it in the right spot, and then grab yourself again another butterfly from the set and place that right on top of that previous one just by going ahead and again quickly inking up that stamp. And you're just going to repeat this process over and over again until you have the desired amount of butterflies that you would like on your image here. So I'm going to show you a couple more here. Again, I'm just heat setting that and making sure that it is completely dry before I move on to putting my next stamped masking layer over top. And you'll see here again, we're just going to take that stamped layer that we've cut out from our already stamped image. So it's the exact same image, we're just stamping it out on a piece of masking paper or on a post-it note or whatever you may want to stamp it out on, just something that has a light tackiness to the back of it. And we're going to layer that on top of our stamped image. It may be a little bit difficult right now to see what the end result will be because it just looks like a whole bunch of images stamped on top of other images, but you'll see that I'm going to actually fast forward the process here in just 1 second, and you'll see that all of them are stamped out, and you'll kind of see the finished product of what all of that stamping looks like. So again, in about, I'd say about 2 seconds here, we're going to fast forward, and you'll see them all being stamped out very quickly. So again, we're just going ahead and we're layering and we're stamping and we're layering and we're stamping. And what you see in this effect here, essentially, is that when we layer and we stamp with the masking, it's going to make it look like these butterflies are on top of each other, or they are kind of in front and behind one another. And you normally wouldn't be able to do that with the stamp because they would just cover each other up and you would just see obviously those lines everywhere. So you want to have this masking technique so you can give yourself a whole group of butterflies and very easily have them be seen, in front and again behind one another. So we're just getting ready to finish up the last couple of stampings here, and then we're able to move on to our next step, which will be coloring. So I'm going to grab all of my markers here, and I'm going to do a couple of colorings of the butterflies at normal speed, and then we're going to, of course, speed it up. I'll put on a little bit of music while we're doing that speed coloring, and you'll be able to see how all of them were done. Now, I'm using the Zig Real Brush markers here to color these, and the Brutus Monroe water brush. And all I'm doing is I'm going to take this orange color and I'm just very quickly kind of smushing that color out from the center of each of these butterflies. Now, I have found it easier to use the Zig marker on just one variation of the butterfly at a time so that you are able to kind of make sure that you're doing all of the butterflies and doing them all the same color in the same color combination that you wanted. So again, we're going to take that orange color in the center, and then we're going to take that red color on the outside and just put that on the outside of each of the wings, or the kind of the inside of the outside of each wing, if that makes sense. And make sure that you get that color on all of those. You can even color over top of the black and pull it from there. It's no big deal. Again, the Brutus Monroe Detail ink is waterproof. Now we're going to take our water brush, our aqua brush from Brutus Monroe. This is our compact water brush, and we're just going to very gently move around and push out that color, and you'll see that we get beautiful, beautiful gradients of color by using this technique. And I just think it's so simple and so easy, and you look like a rock star because you look like you've really taken some really copious notes on how to do gradients and watercoloring, and the marker does all the work for you. It's just the marker and the water that makes it look really good. So again, I'm going to finish up these couple of butterflies here, and I'm going to turn on some music, and we're going to do some speed coloring so you're able to watch exactly how that works. See you in a minute. Okay, and we are back. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of our darkest color, which is black, in the real brush markers, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to just very loosey-goosey just smear that color all the way around because I want to create a darker background behind all of these butterflies. So we're going to take this and we're just going to really smush and move around that color on the background of our image. You can skip this step if you would like to. I just wanted to add a background color behind the butterflies, and again, you can do this however you would like. You can do no color in the background. You can, just do this this technique with the darker color. I just thought it added some visual interest. So I'm just gonna speed up, obviously, as you can see here, and we're just going in all of those areas, just doing a really cool wash of that dark black color until we are kind of satisfied with the way that it looks behind the butterflies. So we're just going through and grabbing all those areas behind the butterflies, kind of the areas that we didn't have an overlap of butterfly, and you'll notice that I left a little bit of area at the top because we're going to put something up in that spot. So now what I thought would be cool, since this is going to be a card where I kind of want one butterfly to stand out from the rest. I'm going to go ahead and take one of my favorite butterflies from the set, and I'm going to again ink that up with the Brutus Monroe Raven detail ink, and I'm going to smush that down there, and I'm going to press that down onto again, this actually is not watercolor paper, excuse me, this is 110-pound Georgia Pacific paper, because I'm using this actually to use a Spectrum Noir marker to color this one in. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in here, and again we can use that same Brutus Monroe detail ink and Raven for our coloring with Spectrum Noirs, as well as for watercoloring. So we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to use I believe that CT2 is the color of the Spectrum Noir. We're going to use that in the center of the butterfly, and then we are going to use the OR2, I believe, is the color we're using now, just for the outside of the butterfly wings. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that, I believe again it was CT2, and we are just going to blend that color out. Very simple, very easy. Just blend all of that color out, and you're just going to move that color, and it does not have to be completely 100% blended and perfect, because again, this is going to be the butterfly that stands out from the rest. So you just want it to be, again, a real pretty butterfly. And you can, see there that we don't have any moving or shifting of the ink color, which I love. Also, one thing that I love about the Butterfly Sentiments set is it comes with, what doesn't come with, but you can purchase separately or in the bundle, the die set that coordinates with it. So very easily we can go ahead and place our die right on top of the Butterfly Sentiment set, or butterfly from the Butterfly Sentiment set, excuse me, and we're going to place it on our Cuttlebug plates here. Grab ourselves a piece of post-it tape, which I believe that I'm grabbing now off camera, and we're going to place that on top of the butterfly. Yep, there we go, so that the butterfly does not shift or move once we put it through our Cuttlebug machine here. So we're just going to place that, hold that down, and place our piece of post-it note tape on top of that and run it through the machine, and you'll see here when we pull it out, it is perfectly cut all around that butterfly with that beautiful offset that we love on the outside of our stamps. So now I'm just going to take a sentiment from the set that actually coordinates with the U sentiment. So all of the sentiments in the set coordinate perfectly with the U sentiment so that you can pair them up together. And I'm just going to again take that detail ink, we're using that a lot in this video, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down onto the top portion of our card. And then once we stamp that on there, I'll know exactly where we want to put that U sentiment below it. So I'm going to get a little help from my MISTI tool here, because as you can see, I tried to stamp it by hand and I messed up the first time. So I'm going to take the U sentiment now from the set, the big U sentiment, and I'm going to use my MISTI to make sure that I get a perfect stamped image, which I didn't the first time, and that's why you see that there's already an existing U there from what was already stamped before. So I'm going to go ahead and place my magnets, and then I'm going to place my I'm going to close the lid, excuse me, on the MISTI tool, which is a great tool for positioning your stamps. I'm going to place that down and lift up, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with the rouge color of ink because it's a pink, and you can see that pink is really dominating the card today. So I thought using the rouge color would work perfectly. So that's a perfect stamping in my eyes already, but I wanted to do a double stamping just to make sure that that rouge pink color really had a chance to shine and was really well stamped. So now with the MISTI tool, that allows us to stamp it as many times as we would like because it stamps it perfectly. Also with that sentiment set of dies, you get the U sentiment set. U die. So now you can see we just ran that through the Cuttlebug and we're just pulling it out, and again it gives us that perfect white offset all the way around that U sentiment, which makes it so easy instead of cutting it out by hand to put onto our card here. So what I'm doing is just pulling out those little pieces from inside because it cuts out all those pieces for us. And we're going to jump ahead now and grab our card base. And we're going to put or not card base, excuse me, the top of the card, the top layer. And that's the layer with all the butterflies and the watercoloring. And we're going to just use a little bit of the Tombow adhesive on the back here. And by a little bit, use a lot because this is heavy paper if you're using the same paper. And you want to make sure that that stays put on your card. And we're going to go ahead and just place that right in the center of our card there, of our card base. And I thought that keeping the outside white of the card base would be best here because you'll see that there's so much going on with the card. I wanted to make sure, with the top layer at least, I wanted to make sure that it had a nice border, but it had to be something simple. So now we're placing our U sentiment. I'm just taking a little bit of ATG, putting that on the back of there, and we'll place that on top right underneath of the sentiment. And there we go. So we're done with the U portion, just rubbing a little bit of that ATG off of there because we had a little bit of that overlap on the back. And now I'm going to take my butterfly that I stamped separately and cut out, and I'm going to use a dimensional dot, place that on the back there, and that's going to be our butterfly that stands out. So that's the U on our butterfly card. We're just going to place that right over top of another butterfly that's on there, and I just thought that that looked great, and it goes over the border. So that's our card for today. Thank you so much for watching. Comment with any questions, and you have a great day. Bye.